Hi, welcome to Duplicate Check Formulas and Matching Criteria. Using the right fields are important. Let's get started. There's a couple of areas within Taleo that will use formulas and selected fields to do its work. And very often we don't review exactly what's being used. So let's review it. Note that I am going to use my Internet Explorer for this session because at this time we're not supported on Chrome. So I am going to start with the duplicate check formula. So you want to go to your configuration and go under Recruiting Administration. And under General Configuration, we're going to select Duplicate Formula. So duplicate check. And this is the standard. So this is the standard that the zone is delivered with, and there are many times that clients may not even make any changes. But the one thing that I will kind of note is that for the most part, not many clients are asking for social security number at the beginning. So really, there's not a usage from that perspective. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is majority of the clients are going to use the email address as a unique identifier. So these two really are not worthy in terms of the formula from my perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove them. So I'm going to highlight and I am going to do that way. So when I'm thinking about a duplicate check, yep, I want to do the first and the last name and the phone number. And I'm actually going to add an OR, so my available operators, and I'm going to add zip code. So from a phone or a zip code perspective, that might definitely kind of give me the perspective of finding duplicates. So I'm going to save this formula. And I'm actually going to go to submissions, and I just want to kind of show you in terms of how it would kind of use my formula. There are various ways in terms of doing duplicate checks. Duplicate checks are going to happen when you're creating a candidate, but it can also kind of happen manually if you've got the permission to kind of do it. So I'm just going to kind of bring my candidate up, and I am going to select my one here, and I'm going to do more actions, and I'm going to do a check for duplicates. So this is where the formula takes place. So it's looking at my first name, my last name, and my phone number, and my zip code, or my zip code. So you can kind of see that perspective of my zip code will probably be different between Chicago and Houston, but my phone number was 1. Various options that you can do at this perspective in terms of merging, but that's an explanation in terms of how you can kind of set up your duplicate check formula. The next thing that I am going to show you is matching criteria. So there are various contexts in terms of where candidates and requisitions can automatically be matched. So there's matching candidates when you're posting a requisition, and that's probably one of the most popular one, right? Because that's the job posting notification functionality, and we're going to focus on that one. There's also matching candidates while you're viewing a candidate file, and that's known as a reverse search in the recruiting center. So find a candidate like this, and it would use matching criterias to the requisition. And then there's also, in the career section, candidates can access jobs that match their preferences. So whether it's a candidate who's completed a job-specific submission or a general profile, they can actually access jobs that matches their preferences. And again, the matching criteria is really important. So we're going to review it from a job posting notification perspective. So I am in configuration. I am going to go to recruiting administration, and there's a few places that I need to kind of look at in terms of highlighting and making sure that my criteria are in place. So the first one is the matching candidate filters. So this really tells me, who do I invite, from which country or locations, and when, right? So I'm going to uncheck internal because I don't want to invite internals. I only want to invite externals. And I'm going to say all countries, but you can see that you can kind of contextualize that to just the region. So this is based on your L of your OLF. I can say that I only want to invite candidates that have modified their information in the last 12 months. And then there's other options there as well. Do not invite anyone who has an incomplete or has not modified anything in the last 6 months. Maybe I can increase that to 12 months. And this is a really good one as well, because you don't want to invite people who has at least one application at maybe at interview or second interview. And this is based on the reference model of your CSW, your candidate selection workflow. So I definitely don't want to have anybody who is at the status of offer or testing or third interview. So I may just kind of make some changes here just to kind of have these three. Actually, I don't have to worry about the hired because hired will turn into an internal person, I hope. So then they wouldn't be invited. You can go into a specific source type, invite people that have the following or do not. So that's kind of an option that you kind of have from a consideration. So I'm going to save my default matching criteria here. The next place that I am going to go see is the matching candidate criteria. So you will see as soon as I click that, it is matching criteria for job posting notification. So I have different sections that I can select. So I can say I want to match between the location specified in the requisition and the place of residence. I can decide whether that's just a desired or if it's required. I'm going to leave organization unchecked because for the most part, you're not displaying as a user or as a client, you're not displaying your organization out on your career section. However, if you were, you could choose to kind of have it to kind of say a candidate's preferred organization is either they've applied to a job with that organization or they have an opportunity to say there's a preference when they're profiling themselves. If you're using competency skills, you would be able to do a match, whether it is a required or if it is a required or an asset. You can have matches between your questions. So if you're in a situation where you do have a great, asking the questions and you've been asking them for a long time, then it could very possibly be a good way to be able to kind of reduce your results from a questions perspective. So anything that you've marked in the requisition as a requirement, or you could choose a requirement or an asset. This is really important, the basic profile perspective. So I am going to actually bring up this. And the one thing that we want to do is these are the standard profiling fees. So I'm going to save what I've done. And I am going to go to my requisition fields. And I'm going to bring up my profiles again and show you where these fields are used. So for the majority of the parts, it is in the first logistics. So I'm just going to kind of move that down. So there's my job level. I want to make sure that it's in the career section, because if it's not in the career section, I'm not asking the candidate that, so I can't kind of match because we never asked it. Job type, same thing. It is in the career section, so that's a good point. And I'm going to go schedule, career section, yes. Shift is in the career section. Employee status. Yes, it is there. The study level is under education level, so yes, it is in the career section. Willing to travel, so it's just called travel here. So you can see I have it. And then salary is in the administration under a minimum salary, and I am asking. So this is a good example in terms of I can use all of my fields, but there are many times where clients may not have all these fields activated. So when you think about your matching criteria, if you do not have them activated and displayed in the career section, then you're never going to be able to kind of have it. So if you think about if I did not have job level and I put it as a requirement, I would never have a match that would be successful. So it's really important to be able to take a look to see. So I can say, I can pick and choose. I'm going to leave shift out, status, and I'm going to put required, willing to travel. So these are my defaults. Doesn't mean that I can't change it later on. So I'm going to save that. And one of the really important component is the preview. So actually I'm going to go back. Let me just go back here. I forgot to give you an important piece of information here. This little line here definitely kind of helps. So it basically says you can use the criterias below to help the system identify matching candidates. The more accurate the criteria is, the more relevant your results are going to be. However, it could be fewer. So that's definitely something to remember. If you're doing a really good job in terms of setting up criterias, your results may not be humongous, but they should be definitely the quality. The next piece that's really important is this candidate preview. So the one thing that is usually not known, if you are not getting candidates that are under your sourcing that are matching, it may be for this. You need to have a country. If you have no countries in here, your send to matching candidates will not work. So that might be a way that some clients want to turn it off. This would be the way that you would do it. You would just remove all countries. So I'm just going to cancel out of here. And I am going to go to my requisition and I'm going to show you the matching criteria, how it works. So I'm going to go to requisition. And I believe that I do have one in draft. I'm going to save that as open. And I'm going to post. And there's my invite matching criteria. And I have no candidates. So I can actually do an edit. And you will see that I would be able to just kind of move my selections. So if I need it to kind of update, I'll just kind of see if I can get. And so now I'm just going to move some desires just to kind of see, update. And there's another way that I would be able to kind of take sources. And if I had any types of results, so keep in mind this is a demo zone, so I may not have all of my information kind of filled out, but I would be able to have a result here. I'd be able to go into the candidate's result and see and make some decisions. I'm just going to try to see if I can kind of show it to you in a different rec. In the default. So you can see here the filters that we selected. There would be a list of candidates here, but you could kind of do some edits at any perspective as well. And that's an overview of matching candidates' criterias for job posting notifications. Thanks.